Welcome to Political Musings on this Monday. Well, if you live in the states of Texas or Ohio, you better check that voter registration. This is your last day to fix any errors, to get registered. If you're not, have you moved? In Texas, if you move from one county to another, you have to re register in that new county. And one thing you might be aware of, or you might not, is that let's say you moved, it's altogether possible that you are no longer registered to vote in the other county, so you can't go back to the other county. I know back in the 2000 election, we had moved from Collin County to Denton County. And I was concerned I wasn't going to be able to vote. I was able to vote. But, you know, they are purging voters left and right in both of these states. So make sure you get that checked out. Now, we have so much to talk about that has happened in the past week since we last spoke. Probably the biggest was we had a vice presidential debate. And the biggest takeaway from the vice presidential debate was they were so cordial and nice to each other. That's how debates are supposed to be. I mean, that shouldn't be the exception. Just because the debate between Harris and Trump, well, any debate that involves Trump is insane. Well, we've come to expect that. Oh, look, they were nice to each other. But what gets far less attention is the fact that every time that Vance opened his mouth, he lied. Just like his big daddy Trump, he lied. And the gaslighting, oh my gosh, that moment where Walz asks Vance, did Trump lose the election? And he says, I'm looking to the future. And Walz said, that's a damning non-answer. And Vance tries to change the subject to censorship. And I'm sorry, it's your party that wants to do the censorship. It's your party's banning and burning books, not the Democrats. And 4 years ago wasn't that long ago, and the person who tried to overthrow and end our democracy is on the ballot, and Vance is his running mate. So when he said that more gaslighting, well, as we all know, on January 20th, President Trump handed power peacefully over because his coup failed. He handed over power because his coup failed. And we have a new 165-page filing from Jack Smith. And I just want to point out a couple of things from this. This landed the day after the debate, so took over any joy they might have had, because it had things like this. When one of the staffers came in to say to then President Trump, the vice president is being secreted away. He is in danger of violence. They are threatening the life. They're threatening his life. And Trump's response was, so what? He did not care. And so I think it is quite telling, and Walz pointed this out during the debate. He said, why isn't Pence on the ballot? Why did Trump have to get a new running mate? There's a great little encounter with Mike Lindell at the Democratic National Convention where, first of all, you see Lindell arguing and losing with a 12-year-old boy, shouting at this 12-year-old boy, and the boy just owned him. So, do you remember? So your proof is trust me, bro? Well, after that, somebody else I believe from the Midas Network, it might have been Really American or one of the others that I follow, but he said, so why did Trump need a new running mate? Why did Trump need a new running mate? Why did Trump need a new running mate? He kept pushing him on it. He needed a new running mate because he tried to get the last one killed. And there was so much evidence in this 165-page filing of Trump for months trying to tell Pence and threaten Pence. And he did the night before when he says something to the effect of, are you going to do this for me? And Pence says, I can't. Because he spoke with Michael Ludick, a famous conservative justice. Ludick said, you can't do that. You don't have that authority. And Pence is saying back to Trump, I don't have the authority to do that. And Trump's like, I don't care. Do it anyway. Break the law. I don't care. So when Pence does what he is supposed to do, well, then Trump sicks the mob on him. He inflames it. He sends out tweets. And now the reason that we have this filing and that we haven't yet had this hearings, this trial, which honestly we should have already had. This is in part due to the current Attorney General dragging his feet. He just waited too long, and then he appointed Jack Smith as special counsel. He should already be in jail. In a working democracy, he wouldn't be out on the street. When you try to end our democracy, that's what should happen. There is a little video I want to share with you because it's so creepy. But here is the former president saying he will protect you. Let's just watch.
Protector, women, you will be protected and I will be your protector. Women, women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free. You will no longer be thinking about abortion. It's all they talk about, abortion, because we've done something that nobody else could have done. It is now where it always had to be, with the states and a vote of the people. You will be protected, and I will be your protector.
You will be protected. I will be your protector. I feel like we need the little, watch on a chain going back and forth like a pendulum. You will be protected, and I will be your protector. It gets creepier every time I hear this. I've heard this so many times, and it just, every time I hear it, ew. This is not a Hallmark movie. This is a Lifetime movie. The difference being, I remember somebody talking about where to put books in a bookstore. Is the woman running to the man or away from the man? She is cowering in the corner, captive. Okay? This is who he is. He is a psychopath. He really is. And so on that, if you remember Kellyanne Conway, she used to be a pollster, and then she went to work for Donald Trump. And after he forced his communications director to lie about crowd sizes, he has, as former President Obama pointed out at the DNC, he's a little obsessed with crowd size. He's just a little bit obsessed with that. And so he had Kellyanne go out and say, well, we have alternative facts. Do you remember alternative facts? Randy Rainbow did a great parody video. So but alternative facts are not facts. It's either a fact or it's not. There's not an alternative fact. But her now ex-husband, George Conway, has started a pack called Psychopack. And because you see, Trump he's got dementia. Now, I say that not as a doctor. I say that as the daughter of both my parents. Both my parents in their 70s got dementia, died in their 80s. So I've watched it up close and personal. My mother, when she could no longer take care of herself, she moved in with us. And then we had to move her to an Alzheimer's unit. And so the signs of this, along with other signs of things like malignant narcissism, and again, I am not a doctor. I am not a medical professional. I've simply observed. But I listen to, on the Really American channel, there's a show called, I can't remember what it's called right at the moment now. Anyway, George Conway has put together these truly astounding ads. And I just want to play for you a couple of them. And let's start with the oldest. This is all of a sudden, Donald Trump started groping me. Now, keep in mind, these ads are being played in particular in the area of Palm Beach, Florida, where Mar-a-Lago is, but they're being played all over, and they're kind of driving him crazy. All of a sudden, he started putting his hand up my skirt.
1979, I had gotten on an airplane. The stewardess said to me, "Would you like to come up to first class?" In the window seat was a gentleman, said that his name was Donald Trump. The airplane took off, and all of a sudden, Donald Trump started groping me. He was trying to kiss me, and I'm trying to push him away. He was basically overpowering me. When he started putting his hand up my skirt, I got out of the seat, grabbed my purse, and went back to my original seat. And I certainly was shook up by the whole thing. 2 years later, at this fundraiser, up comes Trump and his wife. And he looked at me and he said, "I remember you. You're that cunt from the airplane." Donald Trump views women as for his entertainment. He is a serial predator. He has said it at point blank, and he's done it, and he will continue to do it.
Anti-Psychopath PAC Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
All right, there you go. That was one of them. Here's another one. I tried to push him. He kept coming back.
My name is Natasha Stoynoff. In 2005, I went to interview Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. At one point, Melania went upstairs to change her clothes for the next photo shoot. And Trump said to me, "I want to show you this beautiful painting, this beautiful room." He leads me to this room, pushes me against the wall, and starts kissing me forcefully. I tried to push him. He kept coming back at me. I was in shock and smothered, and he had his hands here against my shoulders. I felt sick inside. I felt horrified. And thank goodness the butler charges into the room. Like many women, I blamed myself. So Trump turned to me and said, "You know we're going to have an affair, don't you?" And Melania was approaching. I was horrified. When the Access Hollywood tape came out, and also stories of many other women, including E. Jean Carroll, I realized I was not to blame, that he was just a predator of women. What could have happened if the butler had not come into the room? Donald Trump is an adjudicated sexual assaulter. We cannot elect this man as president.
Anti-Psychopath PAC Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
That was another anti-psychopath ad, and here's one more from anti-psychopath. This is called. This is George Conway exposes Trump as the real DEI candidate.
Hi, I'm George Conway. There's been a lot of talk about whether there's a DEI candidate in this year's presidential election. I'm here to tell you that there is. His name is Donald Trump. Trump is deranged.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He's a lovely man.
Trump is egomaniacal.
I could have been sunbathing on the beach. You have never seen a body so beautiful.
One of the great memories of all time.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
And Trump is incompetent.
And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do, either through the skin or in some other way. My administration has accomplished more than any administration in the history of our country.
Don't vote for the DEI candidate. Don't vote for Donald Trump. And by the way, according to his own sister, Donald Trump actually paid someone to take his college entrance exams for him.
Anti-Psychopath PAC Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Okay, so that's the last from Psychopath. Now we're going to hear some from Lincoln Project. What's great about this is the Harris campaign's putting out great ads. But then we have all of these other organizations. Lincoln Project is all former Republican staffers. These are, it was started by people like Steve Schmidt, who was John McCain's campaign manager. I think that's what I cannot understand why this race is still close. It makes No sense at all. No sense at all. It shouldn't be close. One guy is a deranged lunatic who rapes, but a jury found Trump guilty of rape, and he's got 26 women who have accused him of rape, sexual assault, sexual abuse. This is not a new thing with him. It dates back decades, and it's part of his personality. But more than that, more than being a deranged psychopath, he tried to end our democracy. And so I have never in my life, and I am 60 years old, I am the same age as, well, I'm about a month older than Vice President Harris, not quite, and a couple months younger, 4 or 5 months younger than soon to be vice president than Governor Walz. So, I've lived a while. I've seen a few elections. My first election that I voted in for president, I got to vote for the first woman in a major party candidate, nominee for vice president. It was Mondale Ferraro. And we've come a long way since then. But I have never in my life, I've seen one or two people switch sides. And yeah, the whole Reagan, the Democrats for Reagan, John Tower here in Texas. I've seen it before. I have never seen anything like this where like 40 members of the Trump administration, top members of the Trump administration, are endorsing Vice President Harris. 40. Let that sink in. He's got generals who were on his staff who say he is a danger to our democracy. These are not just Republicans, they were MAGA. Cassidy Hutchinson and Olivia Troy and what's her name? The Alyssa Farah Griffin. They were all in the Trump administration. Some of them voted for him in 2020. In what world? I can't even have imagined, even a couple of years ago, even post January 6th, that we would be in a world where Dick Cheney and Bernie Sanders are on the same side. Understand the distance between Dick Cheney and you have AOC and Liz Cheney on the same side. Republicans are shouting from the rooftops, this man is deranged and a threat to democracy and should never be anywhere near power. His own vice president's life was threatened, and he said, so what? Didn't care. So let's look at some of the Lincoln Project ads. Let's start with damning.
For 90 minutes, they talked about different visions of the country. It was a civil debate that seemed like it was in the American tradition. But then something happened that has never happened in American history. A candidate for vice president refused to say that our president was legally elected.
Did he lose the 2020 election? Tim, I'm focused on the future.
That is a damning non-answer.
Nothing else matters. J.D. Vance believes America isn't a democracy.
Obviously, Donald Trump and I think that there were problems in 2020.
Because if we don't have a legally elected president, we're not a democracy. All those who sacrificed to make America the greatest democracy in the history of the world, J.D. Vance thinks they failed. The greatest generation, it was all for nothing. Is that what you believe? That your vote doesn't count? If you believe in America, if you believe we pledge our allegiance to the greatest democracy in the world, there's only one choice: America or Trump.
You have all of these Republicans, some of them still call themselves Republican. I think most of them have just decided that their Republican Party no longer exists. And so even though on issue after issue they may disagree with Democrats, they're like, no. So here is Lincoln Project ad entitled Dangerous.
You've heard Donald Trump say he'll arrest and deport millions.
On day one, I will terminate every open border policy of the Biden administration, and we will begin the largest domestic deportation operation in American history.
But have you heard who else he wants to arrest? It might be you, if you've disagreed with the Supreme Court.
These people should be put in jail the way they talk about our judges and our justices.
The former president has ramped up his threats to jail political opponents if he wins the election.
If they go down and indict them, they'd be out of the election.
Trump threatens anyone who holds him accountable with arrest and imprisonment. When a nut writes Elizabeth Cheney is guilty of treason and calls for televised military tribunals, Trump sends it out to millions of his followers. How many times did he rant?
They should lock her up. Lock him up. Yeah, lock him up.
Donald Trump is a convicted felon awaiting trial for other felonies. He's an angry and desperate man who cares nothing about the Constitution or rule of law. It's not about Republican or Democrat. It's about protecting our country, our heritage, our future, America or Trump.
Lock him up. Well, he should be locked up. But he thinks that because he was indicted for crimes he committed, that he can then, it's everything about Trump is confession and projection. Confession and projection. Whatever he is accusing other people of doing is the thing he's doing or has already done. Good example. The response to Hurricane Helene, and that is how it's pronounced, by the way, because it is my mother's name. Helene spells Helene. That was my mother's name. I don't know what angered her so from the great beyond. Perhaps she was watching the debate. Perhaps she was watching, the debate between Trump and Harris. I don't know. But she decided to destroy a large part of our country with that hurricane. And by the way, if you live in Florida, Milton is on its way. It's supposed to get here in a couple of days, and it's probably going to be a Cat 2, Cat 3. It could be a big one, and it's heading right for the Gulf Coast of Florida. That is going to be devastating. But one of the lies being told by the campaign, by the Trump campaign, the Trump-Vance campaign, is that they're taking money from FEMA response and funneling it to taking care of, well, he calls them illegal immigrants, undocumented immigrants, and it's giving it to them. Believe it or not, that is what Trump did. Trump took FEMA response money when we were having some of the worst hurricanes in a century in history. Some of the worst hurricanes were happening and taking out places like Puerto Rico, where we had Hurricane Harvey that devastated the Gulf Coast, where we had all these different hurricanes that were hitting. He took money out of FEMA's response funds and put that into building these tent cities for immigrants, and where they were splitting up kids from their parents, taking babies out of mothers' arms, nursing mothers, and then never bringing them back, and never tracking what kids went with what parents. That's what Trump did with FEMA's money. And if you look at Project 2025, and I encourage you to do it. I know it's long, it's volumes. Maybe, get some highlight reels. But one of the things it does is it says, let's get rid of NOAA and FEMA. And what is NOAA? NOAA is National Oceanographic and Administration. Anyway, NOAA is the organization that studies the climate, studies the weather patterns, and helps warn people in advance of what is going on. Doppler radar and all these things. And one of the things Trump did when he took office was he put someone in charge of NOAA, National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. He put someone in charge who their money came from weather.com, from making a profit off of the information that you are given by NOAA for free. And so his job was to destroy from the inside, because NOAA threatened his profits. He wanted to make that money. Whenever you hear Republicans talk about privatization, what you should be doing is putting your hand over your wallet, because someone's about to steal from you. That's what it's about. They weren't able to make enough profit. But then there's FEMA. They want to destroy FEMA. And what FEMA does, and if you listen to the people in North Carolina, they are telling you that the governors, the senators in those states most affected are saying to the former president, they are saying, stop it. Stop lying. We are getting the aids. They are doing everything in their can. And it's like, oh, they're just given $750. $750 is what they come in, they give you cash. No question asked. We're going to help you. Right now, this will get you through the next few days. And in the meantime, they can file, they go through a process, and they will, in another part of the FEMA's response, be taken care of that way. They are doing everything they can, and I really want to, give a shout out to our Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg. He has done an amazing job and gets the facts out there. and there are no flies on him. You don't try. He goes on Fox News, and whoever the host is has no chance of defeating. He is undefeated. Pete Buttigieg. Love him. Love Secretary Buttigieg. But yes, whenever they tell you, oh, they're doing this or they're doing that, that's the thing they're doing. That's the thing the Republicans are doing. That's the thing Trump is doing. Trump is 100% projection and confession. So if he says the Biden crime family, it's because he has a crime family. His family has been committing crimes for decades. It's on the books. If you go back to the Nixon administration, prosecuted Fred Trump, the father of Donald Trump, and Donald Trump for refusing to rent to African Americans. They would put a C on the application, C for colored. And if you're old like me, you remember when black people were called colored, African American. But they would put a C and it would get denied. This goes way back. The sexual assault goes way back. The corruption, the fraud, the crime, anything that he accuses other people of doing, that's the thing he's doing. Projection and confession. So let's hear one more ad from Lincoln Project, and this one's Liar.
Tonight's vice presidential debate is about the truth. Vance will lie over and over to protect Donald Trump. He'll lie about his plans to use the federal government to take away the rights of women, to track them, monitor them, and even prosecute them. He'll lie about wanting women to stay trapped in violent marriages. He'll lie that he once called Donald Trump Hitler and cultural heroin. Lie that he was once an outspoken never-Trumper.
I'm a never-Trump guy. I never liked him.
Lie about his support for Project 2025.
Project 2025 is not affiliated with the Trump campaign.
And its dangerous plans for America. And of course, lie about Tim Walz and Kamala Harris. About who they are, what they stand for, and what their plans for America are. Tonight, J.D. Vance will show he's just one more dishonest con man in Trump's campaign of lies. And that's the truth.
That was from Lincoln Project. That was another one of their commercials. We've been going through and listening to some of these different commercials from the Lincoln Project, from Psychopac. And if you look on the channel on YouTube, Really America, one of their programs that I highly recommend is a program called Shrinking Trump. And what they do on that program, you have 2 licensed psychologists who obviously know much more about the subject, and they talk about what they are seeing from Trump. The malignant narcissism, the dementia, all the different ways, for example, that he has trouble speaking. And it's become more and more obvious, from things like him starting off with bacon, and somehow bacon leads to wind everywhere. Wind is everywhere. Did you know wind was everywhere? Apparently wind is everywhere. They want bacon. They want wind everywhere. We want wind. Yeah. We want wind everywhere. What does that have to do with the price of bacon? Now, another thing that Vance lied about. That's another thing he lied about. He was saying, well, we need to drill, baby, drill. Currently, there is more. We are a net exporter of oil and gas. We are drilling, but we are also working on things for the climate. We are doing more solar, more wind. We are, hydroelectric. There are other ways to get energy. I love, what if the wind doesn't blow? Have you never heard of a battery? Seriously, have you never heard of a battery? What if the sun doesn't come out? Do you not have solar path lights? I can go down to the Dollar Tree and pick up solar path lights. And guess what? They come on when the sun isn't shining. Street lights are said to come on when the sun stops shining. So, I mean, this happens, and if there's a storm, these things work because they know they're not getting sun, so they need to put out the energy. It's not. Seriously, go with me to Dollar Tree. Pick up a pair, pick up some solar path lights. I like to get holiday ones. I'll get little Santa Clauses for Christmas. Yes, I know, I'm Jewish. Shana Tova, by the way. Shana Tova. Good Yentif. For all the old school Jews listening to me. And, so, yes, I put out Christmas decorations. Because let's face it, it's more fun. It's more fun. Hanukkah is the least important holiday on the Jewish calendar. The most important is just happened, Rosh Hashanah, and then coming up in a couple of days will be Yom Kippur. So, yes. Yom Kippur, very important. Rosh Hashanah, very important. Not at all important. Hanukkah. It's not. It just gets a lot of attention and is the most well known because of its proximity to Christmas. But let's face it, name a good Hanukkah song. You can't. You can't because there aren't any. Well, maybe one or two, but name a good Christmas carol. Christmas carols, I could go on with listing off Christmas carols my whole day. When I was a kid, we used to do these Christmas pageants I went to an Episcopal elementary school. Yes, I know, I'm Jewish. Went to Episcopal elementary school. There is no Jewish elementary school in Beaumont, Texas, where I grew up. But we had these grand concerts with the entire school up on risers, singing in unison all of these Christmas songs, including singing them in Spanish and singing them in Latin. And I think even French. I think there was even a French song that we sang. So we all know great. Christmas is more fun. So I had Christmas decorations. I grew up with Christmas decorations. If you've ever seen the movie Driving Miss Daisy, she's Southern, she's Jewish, and she gets driven to her daughter's for her Christmas party. And the driver tells her that he loves her daughter's Christmas parties, and she says, "You ought to, you're the only Gentile there." That was my house. So, yeah, I got Christmas decorations. Also have Halloween decorations. Also not a Jewish holiday. But, you can get themed path lights. Solar-powered path lights that charge during the day when the sun is shining, and come on at night when it's not. It's not difficult. Let's not be stupid. But I really do recommend going back to, things that I recommend. I recommend Really American and watching Shrinking Trump. I recommend the Midas Touch Network with Ben Meiselas. Lots of good stuff there. Lincoln Project. It's kind of amazing that we have all of these Republicans and former Republicans. But there's one guy who is my absolute favorite. He is a fellow Texan, and he's in Northeast Texas. I'm just North Central Texas. And he's over east of me, a little bit more rural. A guy named Texas Paul Schroeder. And I cannot recommend him enough. If you watch nothing else, watch him, because he really breaks down and gets into the things like, for example, there's this crazy woman whose area, so she's a member of Congress, and her area was part of the hardest hit area of Florida by Hurricane Helene. There is an ad out there that she made to the soundtrack, the intro to Heart's Barracuda, where she is in a one-piece bathing suit with the legs all the way up to her waist. Half of her ass is sticking out. And her bathing suit says, "Make America Great Again," and she's wiggling to it, to the music. Seriously, this is a member of Congress, and this is their ad. She's in a bathing suit that says, "Make America Great." And I would love to know if the Wilson sisters, the members of Heart, the band, gave her permission to use that, because I would put money on the answer there being no. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they did. Maybe I am totally wrong about the members of Heart, and maybe they are all Trump all the way. Maybe they're MAGA Republicans, but I doubt it. I think we know who most of those musicians who support Trump are. They're some of them are criminal rappers. Some are people like Kid Rock. Oh my God, Ted Nugent. Ted Nugent is the most loathsome individual, and I really wish he wouldn't claim Texas as his home. Ugh, too many awful Texans. Alex Jones is another one of those awful Texans that was involved. But the mastermind was Steve Bannon. And Bannon currently is in prison. One of the things that we hear in the Jack Smith filing was that, I believe it was Bannon, but it might have been another crazy in the crazy train part, like Giuliani, who said, "Make them riot." They wanted another Brooks, but they were talking about in November, about riots in the street. In November of 2020, they were talking about riots. January 6th was planned. And it was planned with the worst people in the world. It was planned with 3%ers. It was planned with Oath Keepers. It was planned with people like Nick Fuentes and Steve Bannon and Stuart Rhodes and Enrique Tarrio. These are the worst people in the world. And, they're attacking a mayor of a small town in North Carolina right now. And the attacks, because she is Jewish, they are making a point of that and focusing her anti-Semitic attacks on her because she is Jewish. If you are Jewish and you are voting for these people, what is wrong with you? What the AF? There's another one I watched, Legal AF. I'm going to tell you. I know you're not supposed to advertise for other people, but I'm going to tell you, these are the things I'm watching. This is where I'm getting my information, and I highly recommend it. So go out there, watch Psychopath. Go out there, subscribe to Midas Touch, subscribe to Lincoln Project. But while you're at it, subscribe to my channel. Go over to YouTube. I really need you to do this. Subscribe to watch the videos, the live videos in the past. We're going to keep bringing you new ones. Subscribe, like the videos, share them. I need to get up to 500 subscribers. I know I've got tens of thousands of listeners out there on FBRN. I really need you to go and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. That's all I have for you today. I want to thank you for being a part of this great listening experience. Make sure check your voter registration, especially if you live in Texas or Ohio. Texas is close. No voting third party in Texas this time. Seriously, the difference between Harris and Trump in Texas is the people planning to vote third party. Do you understand? If we can get all of those people to vote for Harris, we can actually carry Texas. And if we take Texas, that makes up for like 2 or 3 other states. So this is it. We need your support. We need you to get out there and vote. As I remind you every week, get registered, get informed, get politically active, and go vote. And if you don't have anything nice to say, come sit next to me.